Well, good evening, class. I am going to give you a quick and brief rundown of what the AG history is and where this church was founded, how it was founded, what was pivotal in the founding of the Assemblies of God, and this denomination that I grew up in my entire life and am currently working in as a worship leader at my local church. So, as you know, the Assemblies of God is very well known around the world, very well known for being slightly charismatic and Pentecostal in the way that we run our churches and our congregation. But it started out, the roots kind of trace all the way back to the early 20th century during the Azusa Street Revival. There was several people there that were influenced and called upon by God, and they went out to start their own denominations and ministries. And as we go through, we realize that there was a few people there that started this movement of Assemblies of God. And we had our very first general council in 1914 in Arkansas. So you have to remember that the AG, there was no such thing pre-20th century. There wasn't a Holy Spirit-centered Pentecostal denomination as strong as the AG pre-20th century, pre-Azusa Street Revival. But as we move through history, we realize that this has not just become a small little organization that fizzled out in the mid-20th century, but it became a powerhouse of sorts among the denominations of the world, especially the Christian denominations. And in 1988, formed the World Pentecostal Assemblies of God Fellowship at the initiative of Dr. J. Philip Hogan. He was crucial in bringing this worldwide. And as we look further, this is not something that's just stayed in America. It's all around the world. We have churches all around the world. It says here in my notes, 144 national fellowships in 190 countries, 375,000 churches, and 69.2 million members as of 2018. So I'm sure it's grown since then. That's the most relevant statistic I have here. But also, as we go through this and we look at just the history of our church, we can't forsake the revival culture that was started because of Azusa Street and these different revivalists that kind of birthed the Pentecostal movement and the charismatic movement. We have, obviously, William J. Seymour. He's the one that led the Azusa Street Revival. He was the one that's called upon to take up that cross and just bring that Holy Spirit revival and fire to North America. And because of him, we saw people like Amy Semple McPherson, who also ended up being a big push in the revival culture in America, starting the Foursquare Church. And also Kathy Kuhlman was very, very pivotal in the Pentecostal movement in America and the revival culture that kind of brought forth the AG Church and what we stand for today. Now, on top of that, I'm going to close my notes here for a second. On top of that, we also have not just the revival culture, but also the mission side of it. And there is to supply missionaries with what they need in order to take this gospel and the Trinity and that revival mentality to every other country in the world. We have Speed the Light, which is a program that the youth uses to raise money for funds to help people travel to different countries where before they couldn't travel because they didn't have a vehicle. We have BGMC, which is for the kids, and that helps them get supplies and electronics and ways to present the gospel. And it's just amazing as someone who grew up in the AG. You know, I was pivotal in that. I gave money to Speed the Light. I gave money to BGMC. And I did my own little missions trips as a kid. Went to Mexico, went to Alaska. And I kind of got to see firsthand the influence of the AG. And also, we also, in the middle mid 20th century, there's a lot of women that were very strong in making sure that AG kept going and happened, and were very on the front runners, I guess you could say, of this AG denominational movement. And it wasn't just it was a God as the top leading us, and it was men, women, different races, all over the world, just pushing out and saying, we're going to do this. We're gonna have this this Pentecostal movement, this revival of sorts, and just really hone in on and bring back that spirit-filled mentality they had back in Acts 2, when the upper room